Hi, so in the second video, I'm going to show you how I make these caps that I make for our chemo patients. Actually, I had ordered this one off of, I believe it was off of Amazon, and I really liked it, and the patients seemed to really like it, and I was trying to figure out how to make the pattern because it didn't seem like it should be that hard. So finally I deconstructed this one. So this is actually my pattern, and was able to figure out what they did. Because what's unique about this hat is, if you can see here, once it's all sewn together, it's nice and soft fabric on both sides. Sometimes when you do this nice fabric, you have seams on the inside because you wouldn't want your seams on the outside because then it wouldn't be pretty. But those seams on chemo patients, anything touching their scalp hurts. So this one allows you to have the soft fabric on the inside and the outside. And then it's kind of like self-closing, so it stretches to whatever size ahead. You could even use this cap because when I bought it, it didn't say Chemo Cap. It's more just a beanie. And if you were somebody with a ponytail, you could pull your ponytail through that. This would be something nice and light if you were running. And you can actually adjust your pattern to where, you know, it can be longer in the back, like guys like beanies to be, or it can be smaller. It can, with the extra, they can roll it up if they want. I mean, it just is very versatile. And again, the leggings that I showed you in a previous video, here's some different ones that I've made from. This one was made from a legging, and as you see, it stretches. So I was able to do it, and I think it has two seams, one on each side. This one was made from, like, I believe it was like a 3X legging, and it's, again, very soft, and it's no seams are exposed at all, so that makes it nice for the chemo patients. These were just out of some by the yard fabric I got to be more just plain colored if people wanted that. And then, of course, I have these gray, which, you know, I'm thinking for like our men patients might like them more. So I'm just going to show you how I do these. Again, it's nice to have a four-way stretch knit because it's going to, the way you put it together, it's going to go in different directions, and you don't have to worry about it not stretching. So here I've cut this. This was off of a bolt actually by the yard, so it's like same as the red one over there. It's like a t-shirt fabric, so you know, you might think, well, could you use t-shirt to do it? You're going to end up having to have more than one seam if you do that, and I just prefer not to, but you really could. So again, for heads, you're going to want to have probably anywhere from like 20 to 22 inches so that you have plenty to go around. So when you're putting it together, I would say to at least have, you know, when it's on the fold, 10 to even you could go up to 12 inches. You could always go back in, and if you thought it was too big, you could sew it down. But this is that t-shirt fabric I was telling you about that likes to roll on itself. So when I bring these two together, I'm going to put some clips here so that it helps keep them from rolling up all the time. So I've just got these nice little handy clips, and they're nice to take off when you're done, but you just kind of roll it out. And yeah, this fabric's really, you know, soft and nice to work with, but then again, it's kind of can be a pain as well because it doesn't like to stay laid flat. I've tried to iron it and different things, and it just doesn't cooperate as much as a knit. So I think the knit's actually my preferred fabric for doing these. But I'm thinking that our guys, patients, probably actually like these better. Now that it's getting winter, they've asked me to make a few more. I hadn't made one in a while, and it's just amazing how, when you'll see, it's a little tricky to remember how this all goes together, and it took me a little while to remember it. So this video is not just for you guys, it's also for myself. When I don't make them for a while, I can come back and watch the video and remember how I connect them in this next step. after I sew this long seam together. So again, I use a serger. You could use your sewing machine and just do a zigzag stitch if you don't have a serger. Don't think that, oh, I don't have a serger, I can't make these. So I'm just gonna put it underneath. I'm gonna cut off a little extra, probably because that is rolling. And so just to kind of keep that all together. So now when I'm sewing this seam, I've got to have some way to turn this one inside out. So I'm going to come about halfway and I'm going to sew off. And then I'm going to cut it. And then I'm going to come down a little ways. And then when you're done, you can just do a closing stitch like you would on like a pillow or anything else that you've put together. You don't have to leave a whole lot of a stitch because it's stretchy fabric and it will turn out in a small gap. All the way down to I did tell you how long for the circumference, but I didn't tell you how long for the actual hat. I would say you have to have at least 20 inches. You could have up to 28. It's the more you have, you're just going to have it laying looser on the person's head, and some people like that. Also, though, you know, the longer it is, it also tends to leave a wider opening at the top. So you don't want to leave it too long, but I would say anywhere from like probably 24 to 28, I seem to like to do them. This one I think is going to be actually a little shorter, but that's okay. Okay, so now I've got these two together, and what I'm going to do, they're the seam, so it's still inside out. I'm going to turn it, twist it once, and bring it back and lay it on itself. Now I'm going to take this corner where my seam is, and I'm going to grab this outer one. So here's the lower of the outside one and the upper. So I'm going to take this, fold that one back. I'm going to fold this inside of this one, and I'm going to come and grab the outside of that one. Hopefully you got that. If not, rewind and rewatch it, because that's very important. So now what I'm going to do is these two, the very bottom layer and the very top layer, I am working together into a ring. And I'm just going to keep clipping it as I go around, getting these ends matched up as much as I can. And you're just going to, you're going to be like, what are you doing when you're doing this? But it really does turn out. So again, still clipping it as I go around. So now you're kind of twisting it around, and now you're coming to those other two inner ones, and you're starting to put them together. Let's just keep shaking it out. And if you get confused, just go back the other way. Go from the other side. Yeah, so that one I'd kind of gotten 2 layers in, and I didn't want that, so I had to shake one off. So just keep clipping those together as you go all the way around, and eventually you're going to get back to where you have the two together. To get a few more clips out of here. So now I'm back around to, as you can see, There's those other clips. Now this one, I can see that they didn't come together, so it's not a big deal. You just cut it so that it comes in. So one was just a little bit longer. Okay. So now I've got that in together. So now it just looks like I have a hot mess, but it's really going to turn out. So you can kind of see the twist cap already forming. So I'm going to come back over to my serger, and really you can start anywhere along where you have these clips. I usually try to go back to where I have one of the inseams, just because that helps me know where to start and where to end. And like I said, you could do this with lots of different fabrics, and you could make your kids' hats out of these, or just fun little hats. I thought, you know, if I could figure out make the pattern smaller, like the babies that are in the hospital and, you know, like their heads are a little cold, a lot of times they put a hat on them. We do have some people at the hospital who crochet those or knit those for our babies. But these, you know, really once you get going, they go together pretty fast, and they would be just as cute. So I'm just starting at the one point and going all the way. I don't need to worry about having an area to turn out, because on my side seam I have that. And I just keep going around until I get back up to where I started. Again, you could do this on your regular sewing machine. You would just do it on a zigzag. Now here I'm coming back to where I started. So just make sure I still have the two ends together. And I'm just going to sew off. And then I'm going to snip it. So now that I'm all done, I'm going to go back and find where is that side seam that I left apart. And I'm going to just turn it outside, right side out. And it comes out fairly easy. Okay. So it really doesn't matter what kind of thread you have on your serger, because you're turning it all inside out, so you're not even going to see it. So there, see how it's string from where I turned it in. My little tail. And basically that just kind of turns in and becomes. You can snip off any extra threads you have. So that seam that you did, it could be the base of it, but what's nice about this is that you could just keep turning it in if you don't want that seam at the bottom, and it just keeps turning on itself. And just kind of shake it out, and voila, there you have it. Now this opening that you have, usually I put this on the inside, but now what you're going to do is you're just going to want to hand stitch that with just a needle and thread and close it up. And then you're all done. And that is your beanie for yourself, or for, like I said, our cancer patients we use them for. And it's nice and soft on both sides. So thank you. If you have any questions on this one, let me know. It's a lot of fun to make these.